This is Time Warner Cable's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance, our guest, Paul Krekorian, member of the Los Angeles City Council. And so I want to speak with you about government funding and accounting. We know last year the state of California had its own accounting scandals where money was miraculously found in the Parks Department. And now it appears that we have a similar issue in the Department of Transportation in the city of Los Angeles. What's happening here, sir?
Well, it's a very different situation, Brad, but it's nonetheless outrageous. This was a situation in the Department of Transportation where accounting errors had been made over the course of a decade and a half. And as a result of those accounting errors, the general fund of the city, which pays for our bills, puts police on the streets and firefighters, that general fund was shorted reimbursements that it was owed by that special transportation fund to the tune of $42 million. So it wasn't that the money was found. It was always there and apparent, but it should have been transferred to the general fund. And the fact that it wasn't meant that we had to make cuts that should not have had to be made.
How was this uncovered?
Well, through a lot of forensic accounting that took place, the new general manager of the department came in, identified a possibility that this happened. We approved hiring a full-time accountant to work on it. They found it. They found this defect, and we went back a decade and a half. As a result, there's $42 million more now in the general fund than there would have been otherwise, and that's the good news.
Can you get the money back that you should have gotten over 15 years, or has that money been spent?
No, it is now in the general fund. In this year's budget that we just approved in my committee, we've included it in the budget, and that's going to help us pay the bills.
Sir, this plays right into the narrative that government can't seem to get its books in order. Why is this happening, or has it always happened and we're just uncovering it now because people's eyes and ears are looking out for it?
We need to change the way business is done in City Hall, that's for sure. And that's why I introduced several motions in my Budget and Finance Committee to bring greater transparency to these special funds that are out there so that the public knows what's in them, so that the City Council can keep track of what's in them and know when reimbursements are due to the general fund. So we're going to move forward on those kinds of reforms to make sure this doesn't happen.
Is that the issue? Because in Sacramento, for example, there were problems with a recycling fund, victims' rights fund. It seems like these special funds are the subject of these accounting maladies, I'll call them.
Often that's the case. Now, there's usually a good reason to have these special funds because you have a particular source of revenue that's dedicated to a particular use. That's fine, but somebody's got to be watching the store, and somebody has to make sure that when there's reimbursements owed, when there's transfers that need to be made back to the general fund, that those are in fact made.
Is this the job of the controller of the city?
It's principally the responsible of the manager of the department, but the controller is the chief auditor of the city, who also has the responsibility to maintain that proper financial controls are in place. The special funds are actually outside of the purview of the Budget and Finance Committee of the Council, and so I'm trying to change that and make sure that we have the tools that we need to be able to keep track of these special funds.
I want to talk with you more generally about the budget of the city of Los Angeles. As you know, recently Governor Brown announced that the state had a nice little surplus coming in. Receipts were higher. Are we seeing similar results in Los Angeles? It doesn't seem such.
Well, we've made great progress since the economic collapse of 2008. And what was projected to be a over $1 billion surplus for the next fiscal year has been reduced by over 85%.
Okay.
And in the budget that we just approved, we're moving forward, we're continuing to make progress, and we're not at a place where we've resolved the structural deficit. We don't have a surplus, but there's been positive steps taken, and those positive steps are going to continue to be taken.
His name is Paul Krekorian, member of the Los Angeles City Council. I'm Brad Pomerance. You're watching Time Warner Cable's Local Edition.